Welcome to the Nexus Unloaded podcast. This is Will Crozier.
And I'm Zach Congonis. We are here to bring you the best solutions to your lifting problems. Through our real-world experience, we hope to break things down in a digestible, applicable, and entertaining way.
Okay, everyone, welcome. Welcome to the Nexus Unloaded podcast. We are joined here today with Gals Day, Ladies Day. Yeah, the girls. We have the Kirbinator has surprised us and come on up to the GC.
Good morning.
And is joining us in today's episode. Random show up.
I know. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Surprise!
Yes.
Just rocks up at the gym, sends me pics with her and Will. And she's like,
Hey, I'm here. Well, I thought I was left out of the loop. I was like, no one told me Kirby was coming.
no one told anyone Kirby was coming.
Surprise, bitches.
Yes, so welcome, Kirby.
Thank you.
And obviously we hope to do some more episodes like this.
Yes.
Maybe even like travel around. I don't see us going down to Tassie anytime soon.
I want to meet the goat.
No, you don't. You could limbo under the goat. That's fine.
She started early. Well, that's actually the first thing I have on today's topic notes is this small man syndrome that seems to be going on between the two of you. There's this fieriness that everyone's like, what the fuck is going on with Nexus? These two girls are just attacking the shit out of each other all the time. You need to let us in on this inside joke that seems to be happening.
No, like there's not many people that I can take the piss out of for their height, right? So when I find someone, I just target them.
She's like, I'm going in. And I'm like, you know what? If I can offer someone who's really small, like some of that satisfaction, then I will do that. That's okay.
I'll take the heat for
I'll
you.
take it.
But you've also you are used to it to some extent. I
mean, yeah, I grew up with it. Like this memory
No,
I
you
have.
didn't know that's the problem.
See? But I have this vivid memory in year 12. We got a full year 12, everyone in the year level got a photo together and you had to line up from tallest to shortest. And I was the shortest in the entire year level. And everyone walked past and was like, oh. And I have that memory. It's just
Was this a kindergarten to year 12?
I'm literally going to vomit from laughing so hard. I can't. It's just savage. I feel like it's okay when it's Kirby, but if it's one of the boys, you just shut the fuck up.
Sometimes I just ignore it because I'm like, that's not funny. If it's not funny, I won't give it the time of day, but Kirby's funny. So I'll entertain it.
It's just a different form of beef, I think, when it comes from a chick versus when it comes from a dude. When it comes from a dude, you're just like, shut up, bro.
Yeah. I'm like, I'll squat you for reps.
I thought
honestly, small man syndrome.
I honestly thought
I
you
think I
said
missed
squirt.
You were talking about queefing before.
Oh my god, yeah, I heard that too.
That's great. That took a turn.
Oh my god. Okay, so for the listeners out there, you're just going to have us cackling, giggling girls for the next 50 minutes or so. What else has been going on? I feel like there's a couple of extra notes that I've got here that we need to go through. So what else has been going on?
So I know on the list of things that have happened, well, the other day I took a day of leave to study. And I also got my nipple pierced, as you do when you take a study day. So that's my news for the week.
Oh.
Just randomly goes out and get her nips pierced.
Yeah.
She was talking to me about it 2-3 weeks ago, and I was like, I just don't see it. I understand. Well, I don't see it.
Or you can if you are after.
But it's more I get ears pierced, nose pierced because you can see it. I don't understand the fascination with nipple piercings or other bodily parts. I mean, I've had my belly button pierced. I took it out, but I didn't get it. And as soon as she messaged me that, I was like, you are fucking wild. Like,
I just felt like doing something different. And once the thought was in my head, I was like, I just have to do it.
yeah.
Like, I have to go. So I sauntered on down to Flesh Impressions in Broadbeach and got it. Shout out, excellent service. But Mikki, there's something you actually don't know.
Oh no.
So out of the 6 nipples in this room, 3 are pierced.
do you have your nipples pierced?
Got it done yesterday.
I see her single nipple and I raised it to double.
She got to, so she had to one up nipple me.
So you did both nipples.
Yeah.
What the
So we actually booked you in for this afternoon. We're not going
We're not
dancing.
going hip hopping.
I'm getting my nipple pierced. I
We're
can
going hip hopping.
safely I can safely say that I will not be getting my nipple pierced this
All
afternoon.
right, we'll do hip hop instead.
Boring. I'm probably the young. Am I younger than you? How old are you?
36.
Yeah, I'm the youngest one here, and I'm refused. I feel like I'm the only
pressuring
one.
you.
I feel like I'm the only one with my head screwed on right now. I'm like, yeah, I'm not. I'll go get tats. We can go get tattoos, but I'm not going to
Okay.
get mine.
Gonna
I'm
get
not
a
going to
Nexus
join.
one.
Well, that's actually something that I was going to bring up next. Was your Nexus tattoo? I feel like this
Alright,
needs a
well, that was a
mention.
verbal contract, so I'll go and book somewhere.
It's on recording now.
Yeah.
Everyone else out there is. No, I'm definitely open to getting a tattoo of some description Nexus. I don't know if I'd get the logo. Like, I think I'd probably get something that's like symbolic and unique in its own way. Like, that's kind of how I view my tattoos. That I like future tattoos that I want to get. So like I've mentioned, I want to get tank and Arkan tattoos.
Yeah.
And like for the tank tattoo, I want to get like literally a little miniature tank with broken tracks. To represent like his busted little legs. And then Arkan, I want to get like a little paw with a snout because he used to love like holding hands and he'd come up and like shove his nose in my hand and stuff like that. So it's like symbolic things. And then I might even just get like a little Bowser head.
Yes.
But like I just want them to be really simple ones. I don't
Yeah.
want
Like
and
ones.
I'll still probably have them hidden somewhere. I don't know. But
Not getting it on your face.
On your nipple.
Bowser around my nipple. No.
That is the snout.
Just the snout. Yeah, love that. No, I think I'm open to it. I don't know whether or not it would fit in our schedules for the remaining time that Kirby is here.
We've got to a close of business today.
Yeah.
But yes, you did mention we have hip hop class this afternoon as well.
Yeah. I'm taking the ladies to hip hop so we can all hide at the back and laugh at each other.
We'll see whether or not I roll my ankle any further.
Don't jinx it.
I probably would. Okay, so that's all I've got in my my notes here. But obviously, a couple of extra things that we've got going on. We have the nutrition workshop that
Yes.
you and I are hosting here in the Gold Coast Gym in Burleigh. So on the July 8th, we are going over comp day nutrition and like comp week nutrition, that sort of stuff. So if anyone on the Gold Coast wants to come along and learn from Kirby and myself from, Kirby, Jordan.
I mean, Kirby can come.
But yeah, if anyone wants to learn from Jordan and myself, we will be doing a small in-house workshop. And hopefully give people a few more skills that they need. Obviously stuff that we're going to be talking about today, talking about in future episodes and stuff like that. But it's always nice just to be in person, ask questions.
Yeah, and it kind of times nicely with the lead up for Deadlift for Dogs
Yes.
as well. So if anyone wants to put anything into practice, they can.
Deadlift for Dogs is selling out very, very quickly. So I would absolutely jump on there if you haven't already. By the time this podcast airs, it may already be sold out.
Y'all missed out.
I just found this little hole in my top as well from Bowser. So, yeah, thanks, bro. Just like feeling, I'm like, what the fuck?
Why is there
There's
a hole in my
shirt.
sleeve?
Bowser likes to steal my clothes and run around the house with them. I caught him with my undies the other day. And then obviously over the weekend we just had the Nexus Novice Comp as well,
Yes.
which was amazing.
What a day.
So good.
Really fun day. You guys both had clients. I didn't have any of my own nutrition clients competing, but you guys both had clients competing for the first time.
Yeah, it was exciting
It was
watching.
good,
It was
yeah.
cool
Yeah.
being on the other side of the fence. Like usually I would be the one competing.
Yeah.
But this was probably the first time I played a proper role behind the scenes.
Yeah, doing the desk bitch.
Help me.
There was so many times, Mikki! We fucked up! But the biggest, just like, I feel like this has been our little motto between you and us getting started is just jump straight in.
Yeah.
Don't bother dipping your toe in, just fucking jump in and go for it. So that's Alex
I
opening
know. I was
up
like,
the
is that
door.
the roller door? Like, why is my headphones shaking? There's an earthquake. Like, everyone in Melbourne was like,
But yeah, so Kirbi, you had a couple of people.
I did.
Do
yeah.
their
Vic
comps?
and Larissa. That was amazing. Both did so well. Both PB'd. Just oh my god, just proud as punch. And both just
I think it was really cool for them to be able to meet you. And did either of them come up and have any questions about anything across the day? Or they
Larissa's
both?
like, am I allowed to eat? I was like, go.
I had Zion come up to me. He's like, should I eat all of it? I'm like, just don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Just eat some of
Just
it.
eat it. Yeah. Your body will tell you when you're full.
Yeah.
Nose will tell you when you're full.
Yeah. So no, that was really cool. Like to see both of you guys kind of in action in different ways. And then just everyone here had such a fucking good day. Like it was so much fun, and I really look forward to doing more meets in-house like that. Obviously, it was our first ever 3-lift comp, and I like looking back on it, I'm like, I don't think that there was anything that was like, oh fuck, that was
There was nothing
big.
overly like that went wrong.
But the only things that, like, if there was any mistakes or anything that went wrong, it was just because it was their first time ever doing it. So it's just that classic, like, you know, spotters and loaders, their first time that they've ever really done that before. So I don't actually think there was any really misloaded bars or anything. It was maybe just like they're a little bit slower than what you would expect from other high-level comps. But like when it's the first time that they've done it, I'm like, you can't expect them to be Speedy
Gonzalez. I think it's the beauty of an Aus comp. Like, you had that luxury of taking your time and getting familiar with everything.
Exactly.
So. Most people are wearing sleeves, not wraps, so there's less pressure.
Who are those freaks?
There was a couple of the boys that were wearing wraps and stuff like that, but overall I think it was a really cool day, so really happy with that, which kind of brings us a little bit into what we're talking about today, which is comp week nutrition. I've got some notes here. So what we're kind of talking about is weeks 1 to 2 out, because depending on the individual and what they're going through 2 weeks out, there are some things that we still need to be considerate of. But the first thing I've got here is that we need to make sure that we're double checking all of our time. So when you're 1 to 2 weeks out over that window, like first thing I like to know is like, have you confirmed your bookings, your flights, if you are having to travel, what your weigh-in times are? Like, because even over the weekend, Saturday morning, 8:15, Alex is receiving a phone call from someone going, "Hi, it's such and such's mum. Just wanting to call up and just get some information about the comp tomorrow." And Alex is like, "Today."
Oh God, I'm having anxiety listening to this story. I'm sweating right now.
She's like, "Today." She's like, "Oh, okay.
Oh fuck.
Well, I better get him up then."
Oh my God, who is this boy?
Who's in Adelaide?
So yeah, make sure that you know the date and the day of your competition, but also times, arrivals, weigh-ins, where you need to be, what the address is.
Oh my God, yes. Yes. Or like accommodation, like checking in, checking out, all that shit as well.
Yeah, 100%. And then with that, it's packing all your comp day goodie bags, food, that sort of stuff as well. Because realistically, in that last week, you shouldn't need a whole lot of your equipment.
No, I like to say to people the moment you've finished your last session, which is usually a few days out, pack your bag. Yep. And then over the next few days, like just
check it again.
Yeah. just a few extra checks every now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'll usually send like a list. Be like, make sure you have all this shit.
Well, we have some resources on that sort of stuff as well, right?
Yep.
So in one of our comp day I think it's called the Complete Comp Guide, which is like from 12 weeks out all the way through. At the very back of that ebook, we have got a list of like, hey, make sure that you have this stuff in your bag, and it's like a little bit more of a comprehensive list, but it's more just like double checking things. So I think in there we have bands, extra t-shirt, extra socks, extra undies.
I like the extra shaker if you want to like make your own solutions and things like that.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Just having little bits
that
of
from Mikki.
Did you hear that, Kirbi? But I think it's just making sure that you have got everything, because it was so cool seeing a few people over the weekend like uploading their bags, like all their stuff.
Yes,
kind of like
I was like a
packed up.
proud mom.
Yeah, Richie takes
Wow.
a cake for his gastro stop.
I saw that. I was like, I had PTSD. I was like, oh my God, no, not you.
Trust the sphincter. Trust the sphincter.
But he didn't use any of it. That was the biggest
No,
thing. I'm
didn't.
like, okay.
I was like, yeah, I'll be blocked for days. Like, trust me.
Well, I feel like that needs some elaboration right now. You need to tell us about your experience with GastroStop.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, the day before Nats last year, I literally couldn't keep anything in. Like, and people are like, oh, you're just nervous. I'm like, this isn't nervous shits. Like, this is next level shit.
Was it coming out of 3 holes or just 1 hole?
Just the one? And I was just like, holy shit, like, I don't think I can compete. Like, I didn't think I could compete, and I didn't want to tell Josh because I was like, I don't want to alarm him. So I'll just, like, see how I feel. And I didn't speak to, and then you guys were like, how you feeling, John? And I'm like, not good.
I feel nothing.
I'm empty. I'm so empty right now.
My soul, my bowels.
Yeah. And so I was like, all right, like the morning of comp, I'll get up, I'll like have my gastro stop, eat breakfast, and the test is if breakfast stays in, we're on. Like, we're fucking on. And so we were on, and I didn't shit myself during squats, which was my number one goal, because the live stream was really good. I was like, that's going to pick up everything.
If that doesn't, your face will.
It's like a single tear just like rolls.
Guys, I fucked up.
But yeah, that's my story. Like, it was
So,
not fun.
Tell us, how did you feel like you got the gastro?
I don't know, because I traveled, and I honestly made a point to like not touch anything in the airport. Like I had to go to the bathroom in the airport, and I was like trying really hard to fucking like do the happy birthday when you remember during COVID they're like sing happy birthday twice when you wash your hands.
I wasn't in Melbourne. I'm sorry, we didn't get that here.
We saw some shit. So like I was like happy birthday, like washing my hands.
Is that how your hip hop career started, do you think?
Anyway, so I don't know. I must have picked it up from traveling or just a day or so before. It was just acute. It was literally that whole day, that one day that
You
I
didn't
really
eat
needed
out?
to eat. Nothing.
Okay.
I ate the same shit, like mince, right? Really plain Jane food.
Yeah.
I'm like, the airport is the only place, or the plane is the only thing that I could put it down
Someone
to.
contaminated you.
Yeah, I don't know. Everyone, Jared was fine. Everyone else was fine. And I just went down.
Skip the happy birthday.
Yeah.
Which obviously, I mean, that's a good segue into making sure that you have a sufficient amount of electrolytes and things like that coming in those days before, because there's a very strong likelihood, well, not actually, there isn't a strong likelihood, but there's always a risk that, you get the nervous wheeze or poos or anything like that.
Yep.
And
Lose excess.
lose a little bit. So we've obviously got, your IUMs, as I like to call them, sodium, potassium,
I'm not going to say it.
Just say it.
I'm not saying it again.
sodium, potassium, calcium.
Why did I do that? I literally spent like the next few days being like, why did I do that?
Classic. And so, we want to make sure that we stock up on a few of those before comp.
Yeah.
So in that week before, depending on whether or not you have, you're having to do any water manipulation or things like that, stocking up on those electrolytes we've got it written down here, but it's important in terms of like force production and that sort of stuff. But just recovery coming into it, water balances, manipulations, those sorts of things. Like if you are having to do a weight cut, it definitely makes life a lot easier to stock up on those through food choices
100%.
and then obviously through, supplements if needed as well.
Yeah, and in the rehydration process, which we won't go into detail today, but
No.
yeah, not today.
So to give people a bit of an insight into like some of the ratios and stuff that we want to look at, like for me personally, I only really look at like sodium and potassium, because I know most people supplement like magnesium throughout the course of their prep, and if their diet's well taken care of, then calcium and that sort of stuff is usually pretty well taken care of. But potassium, for whatever reason, is one of those ones that people often underdose.
100%.
And so it's not so much just in that week before comp, but in the actually a couple of weeks before it, I like to just make sure that we're just keeping an eye on it as well. Because it does obviously have quite a bit in terms of our fluid balances and things like that. So if someone is kind of like all over the place a little bit, is keeping an eye on their sodium and potassium ratios definitely makes a big difference. So I usually like to look at like as a 1-to-1 ratio. So if someone's having like 3,000 milligrams of sodium, then try and partner the potassium to be on the same side as that as well.
And you've seen a lot of success with like just fluid flushing out from using that with people, right?
Yes, exactly. Because I mean, it's more so the reduction in sodium. So when people actually start to monitor those ratios, they find that they're consuming an excess amount of sodium. Like I've had some guys that like north of 6,000, 7,000 milligrams of sodium a day, which is quite easy to do when you actually have a look at like
massive appetite.
Yeah. Or like, I've there was a point where 50% of my clientele was men ranging between 110 to 180 kilos and women at like 50 to 55 kilos.
Oh
so like
separate ends,
complete different ends of the spectrum, both of them obviously wanting to get bigger and stronger, which was really cool and exciting. But the men that were eating large amounts of calories, like yes, we did actually have to enforce some management of their sodium because it was just exceedingly high. They had to get so many calories in, and usually when we're looking at high calorie dense options, it's like sauces and flavorings and that sort of stuff, which is usually really high in
pre-made meals and things like that.
So it's usually really high in like sugars and salt and that sort of stuff too. So
I'm so thirsty just thinking about that.
Same.
my mouth was drying out. Hot. But yeah, so in those last couple of weeks, I guess we just want to make sure that people are keeping an eye on that sort of stuff. And it usually does mean like, let's maybe reduce some eating out and those sorts of things. Not only, as we mentioned in our last podcast, to reduce the risk of food poisoning or getting gastro or
Jordan.
any risks there, but also just to help with weight manipulation as well. So the next thing we've got here is our fluids, making sure that we're wanting to keep those relatively consistent.
Yeah, I think we were talking about in the last week, maybe you're not doing as heavy style training and people might just forget to like drink water. Is that what we're talking about? I feel like
it was, I mean, it's it's seasonal as well. Like,
yes, in winter. Or if people take time off work as well, I find when people don't go to work, they just forget to drink water.
Yeah, because they're out of routine.
Sitting at a desk or it's not like in front of them.
Yeah, exactly. It's when they're out of routine or the weather's a lot colder. Like, how do you find it in Tassie? Like, do you have like
do you drink water?
Just ice chips. It is difficult. I've got a bit of a habit, and this is just purely from nursing because obviously we still have to wear masks. So I have a rule that I have to go to, if I'm on an early shift, have to drink at least a litre of water before my shift.
Yeah.
Mm.
Not only just because it's just a habit now, but because I know it's getting colder, it is a bit of a battle. So
yes, yeah.
But
what would your intake be? Like your water intake roughly?
3.5 litres.
It's still like that's a lot of water for someone of your size.
So small.
Yeah.
You have to drink 1 litre. Take mine and half it.
But like you could have 1.5 liters and it would
Yeah.
be like enough. But obviously you're a lot more active. You move a lot more throughout your shifts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but it is like I find most people, particularly when it gets cold, like they don't have the cues to like the normal like physical cues to drink.
Yeah.
So if you're coming into those last 1 or 2 weeks, just make sure that you are actually keeping an eye on it. And you can see like in the camera here, we've got like little drinks, but
Team
Diet
Right.
Right bottle is the lifesaver for everyone. I feel like
Yeah.
the handle just
yeah.
makes life
It
so
does.
much easier.
Yeah.
Like going for your walks along Burley and
Yeah.
you're carrying your little like I just feel like it'd be a thing you just look out. If
Yeah,
it's not one of
I've
those
definitely
like
adopted it now.
if it's not one of those like metal tin
Frank Green,
Yeti,
fancy one. Yeah, the fancy
The
ones.
bloody Frank Green.
then it's a Diet Right bottle because it
Carrying
makes
my
life
keg.
cool. So yeah, making sure that you just keep an eye on your fluid, unless you're weight cutting, in which case there'll be protocols set by one of your coaches regarding what you need to do. And that kind of brings us into our morning, evening routines, the weigh-in process, and that sort of stuff. So, Kirbi, do you want to run us through like what you kind of encourage people to do in that last 1 to 2 weeks with like their morning and evening routines?
Yeah. So depending on where you're sitting, in terms of your weight leading into it, particularly in the last week, I always encourage, regardless, like for the weekend, for instance, we don't necessarily have to make weight.
Yeah.
But I do encourage sending through that morning weight and then the evening weight, just so we can see roughly how much we're dropping overnight.
Yeah.
If we're in a significant weight cut, which
Yes.
obviously we do a big job of trying to avoid.
Yeah.
But there is some instances where it is necessary.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think particularly that 1 week out, but it's 2 weeks out, gives you a bit of an indication, particularly if you're manipulating potassium and sodium like we've been talking about, to start, being more honing in on those daily weights. So.
I also think it's just really valuable for people to be able to have peace of mind that they can talk to you.
Yeah.
Right? Like even if there's like this weekend, there wasn't weight categories. Like people just stepped on the scales, whatever they weighed is what they weighed. Obviously, I don't know if anyone was actually like, I want to try and lose weight to help my DOTS formula. I don't think anyone had that mindset here over the weekend.
Yeah.
But it's just that reassurance of like, hey, like, coach, this is what my weight's at. This is how I'm feeling. And it's just that reassurance with it all.
Definitely. And I think for me, it was a bit of practice for them also, because I knew once they compete this weekend, they'd get the addiction. So they're going to come into a time when they're going to need to be more,
vigilant
on their weight. So it was good practice.
Yeah. And hopefully, like, even if they do their first federated comp, we're still in a position where, like, weight isn't a driving factor to what category they go into. Like, hopefully if it's their first federated comp, they're just doing it because they want to have a bit of fun and, enjoy themselves with all of this.
Yeah.
I want to add in though, if their weigh-in is at 1 p.m. So this is something I've been having to navigate, and it's kind of annoying.
Yeah, afternoon weigh-ins suck.
Yeah, I fucking don't like it, but it is what it is. So in addition to like the morning routines and afternoon routines and maybe having your meals at similar times, for people with their weigh-ins at 1, which I have Jasmine competing at APL Nats, and for instance, her weigh-in's at 1.
Yeah.
So this week what we're doing is we're modifying her breakfast and then just making sure we're not overdoing it on like hydration, and then kind of testing what her weight is going to be at 1 and keeping a record of like, okay, what her volume of meals were, how much water she drank, and then like doing a few more weigh-ins at 1 o'clock to kind of see what we need to do like the morning of comp.
Yeah.
So it's not like, holy shit, I'm actually weighing in at 1. What do I do? So we're seeing do we need to fast beforehand? But then it's like, I don't want you to be uncomfortable and shoving all your food between 1 and
1.
Yeah. So we're playing around with different scenarios at the moment while we're a few weeks out. So then we can kind of like know what our strategy is.
And that's a really important thing is that you are trialing something like that in the lead up to comp rather than trying to do it in that last week, make any radical changes and things like that.
Yeah.
Because it could just be a matter of changing up as you said, the volume of meals, like how much weight of food is she getting in, and is having, you know, some simple changes like a smoothie, like a high calorie smoothie, like a liquid form, going to at least provide her with some form of energy. She'll still probably feel fucking hungry.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But it's like, like if she wakes up, she fasts for a little bit, has her meal, like a smoothie or something that's still calorically dense, but not as like weight heavy. And then it's like, it's only like another hour or two, and like, you know,
just weigh in, and then you can have your lunch, your dinner, and you're not like shoveling down excess food.
Yes, exactly. That's definitely an important thing. And then another thing that I want to touch on with the morning and evening routines, and like making sure that we're weighing in around that, is just making sure that we are actually keeping a morning and evening routine. Like a lot of people in that last week, nerves the night before, or if they're having to monitor weight, like that is an emotional kind of stress, and some people can kind of get really erratic and
do stupid things,
make silly choices and things like that. So by having like some form of consistent wake up routine, go to bed routine that you've been doing the entire course of your prep, I think that's just really important that we reiterate, hey, like, this is, you know, just because you're not training, or you may not be at work for the next 1 or 2 days before your comp, or whatever it is that you've got going on that week, there's no reason why we need to make any drastic changes right now. Because the reality is, like, all the hard work's done. You know, there's nothing magically you can change in a week before comp that's going to add 50 kilos to your total.
Go sumo.
Hey!
Just swap that out. Last attempt. Fuck it. YOLO. So, I think that's just really important to emphasize that there isn't anything that we can really drastically change. Now, if we do have to do a weight cut, I think it's important as a coach to inform our clients of what some of the potential strategies could be, so that they are aware of what to expect. And that's obviously why you maybe trial it the 1 to 2 weeks before, in the multiple weeks beforehand. Just gives them some kind of sense of like, hey, like, I'm going to feel quite hungry over these next couple of days if it's low residue, or I'm going to be pissing like a, you know, like there's no tomorrow.
Well, something I did with one of my clients was we went over it like a few weeks or 3 weeks or a few weeks out, and we looked at like the planner that we've got on our client sheets, and we kind of were like, all right, so if we start low res, this is the date we would probably have to do it. If you wanted to do water, this is when we'd do it. And I was like, what are you more comfortable with? And he was like, well, I'm a teacher and I can't afford to like leave the classroom to piss every
who signs the note?
And I was like, you know what? Like, I never thought of that. Like, we won't do that then because that's not going to work for you.
So practicality is a big factor.
So it's worth having sometimes that conversation, as we said, like weeks out. And then so the 2-3 weeks, 1 week before, people can prepare and know what they're in for.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It's mentally, plus, like, and we say this all the time, the more informed our client is, the better they understand the process, the more likely they're going to follow it, because they can see the outcomes, like the results that's going to get them. So it's not like we're trying to withhold information, and then like that's not just around weight cut strategies, that's anything. Like, you know, if you have this mentality of like, I have to withhold information so this person stays with me, and you know,
they see me as
I've got
authoritative.
I've got all these tricks up my sleeve. Like,
mystery.
Mysterious. I don't feel, well, you guys are super mysterious getting your fucking nips pierced and stuff like that without
I'm like, little does Mikki know there's 3 blinged up nips in this room.
Giving Jordan a running commentary on it, so I'm like, all right, I'm in. Hang on, I'm just doing the form. Hang on.
Yes, but the place was so good.
It's so good.
So did you go with her? Hold her hand.
No. I was working, but I totally would have come with you.
Yeah,
because it would have been fun.
I was in the neighborhood. I was at Pack Fair. It made sense.
Are you sensitive?
Yeah, I am now.
They're probably bleeding as we speak. Let's be real.
She's wearing a white top too.
Yeah,
you're brave. At the comp,
I've got like obviously a crop with some padding, and then I've still got my dressings on.
Bandits.
Yeah. Oh, cute. Spice Girl top on there.
Should.
And going back to like our weight cut strategies, I guess we've written down here like that's why we have daily chats with people as well.
Yep.
So we give them the insight as to what to expect coming into the comp, like, hey, we could trial this and this is what we're going to look like, and just give them a bit of an insight to the week in advance. But daily checking in, you know, and then we've also got like sometimes hourly, like there may be things that have to like we change more frequently. Like it's not just first thing in the morning. If something comes up, they've got gastro halfway through the day. Hey, have a chat, like check in, just make sure that you're having that communication, and you know, people are feeling as prepared as they can be if there's travel or things like that they have to take into consideration.
And sometimes the body just does weird things.
Yeah.
And you can't predict everything. So that's why it's like, let your client know I'm available. You're not annoying me. Just send me messages.
Yeah.
It's cool. And like checking in with them as well.
Yeah. It's just peace of mind for everyone.
Yeah.
Like I remember there was one of your clients that didn't talk to you for like, he was having to do a weight cut.
It was Vince. We'll call him out. I love Vince. But yeah, he's so chill. But I was like, what's going on? What's going on? And he weighed in, but never told me. He made weight and then went to the fucking pub and was like
mysterious.
enjoying himself. And I was like, Mikki, like he's not responding to me. Like, I don't know, like, is he okay? And then he sends me a photo of like him like having a beer. And I was like, oh my God, I could kill you right now.
One, because you're having a beer before comp.
Yes. Because he's so chill. He's like, oh, it's fine. I'm like, oh my fucking God. Like, no.
Meanwhile, you're in the fetal position under the desk.
Seriously.
He's not replying.
I was like, what did he do?
So it's a two-way street here, guys.
Yes, please let your coach know once you've weighed in.
What's going on. I think it's more important if there's actually stress around that. Like if someone's been super duper stressed in the time coming into comp and then they just go like they ghost you, you're just like, whoa, what something's gone horribly wrong right now. So like I've had worst case scenarios. I have had people running in the car park in a tracksuit, plastic bag. Plastic bag with a jumper over the top because they refused to communicate with me in the week in the days before, and then got to the comp and were like 600-700 grams over,
praying for a miracle,
spitting in a cup, running up and down the parking lot in the full
and that
sweat.
could have been avoided.
Yes,
yeah.
Absolutely. Just have a chat with me and let me know what the fuck's going on so that I can help you. But yeah, so we won't get too far into like just dragging like stupid shit that clients have done because we've all made silly things in those last couple of days before comp, which kind of segues into the next thing, which is making sure that you're not overcompensating for a lack of training. Like some of this dumb shit that you guys have either of you done something really stupid in the week before comp or like because of the lack of training?
No, but I tend to move a lot.
Yeah.
And I remember I was forced to reduce my movement because I remember Josh was like, Jordan, like you can't be just averaging 18,000 steps a day. Like you need to chill. And I was like, I can't sit still.
Yeah. Like I'm very like sketchy on a normal day, like let alone when there's like normally you would be training, so it's a weird time because you've got this, feel like all this time to feel, it's like, oh, I can't be sitting still.
Like I'll just go for a walk. I'll just go for a walk. I gotta do something.
So instead of having
suddenly the house needs vacuuming 8 times a day.
So what would you say are some things that you guys would encourage people to do if they are that fidgety, can't sit still, but they've got so much extra time on their hands? Because the biggest problem is that, like, you know, if they take 1 to 2 days off work as well, so now there's not this distraction of work, they're focusing on recovery, but they're overcompensating with other activities. Like, what would you guys try and encourage your clients to do?
I would probably say, like, for me, I like getting my nails done, hair done. You know, you got to look hot for comp day.
Yeah, you do.
It's a thing. Fake
and like
tan.
with nails, you're forced to sit there.
Yeah, but like for obviously, if you're sumo and you scratch your legs, like short nails.
Okay.
Short nails.
Booking a tan, all that sort of stuff.
Or reading a book, or like doing something, watching Netflix. I don't know, something to take your mind off.
Yeah.
Comp. I don't know. What would you?
Something similar to that.
Similar?
Yeah.
What about for the boys out there? I mean, I know Jason likes to get his petties.
He's got the best toenails. So nice. For the guys, again, like video games. I know a lot of the boys that I work with love their video games, and that's relaxing for them.
Yeah.
as long as it's not like a Wii Fit or some shit. And
Yeah, just kind of keeping their brain active. But
Yeah. So just
Sounds like-
gaming, watching TV,
Yeah.
some Pornhub,
they're like,
whatever's going to keep them.
exactly.
I've never actually recommended that to a client, and I don't think I will. But I mean, if you're listening, go for it.
Yeah.
I've
Whatever
had some
works.
people turn, I mean, this is going down a whole different rabbit hole, but I've had some people be like, yeah, like, I don't want to have sex the day before comp or anything like that.
I've
Like,
never had that chat.
I just say, like, whatever keeps you, like, chill and relax. And if
Yeah.
that's, like, having sex or masturbating or whatever is
Yeah.
going to keep you, like, chill,
Yeah.
then go for it. Like, there's nothing wrong with it.
Mm.
Like, some people are like, I've got to hold up all this pent-up testosterone.
Rage.
Like, there's no evidence to support that
Nah.
actually helps in any way.
Yeah.
So,
How would
Yeah.
you carry out that research? Anyway, just
there are studies that have
Really?
been on. Yeah, there are studies that have done like people that have sex and their performance measures.
really.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I didn't know this. I learned
Yeah.
something.
Google.
Note to self.
Another study day coming up for Jordan.
Okay, so to give you insight, then there's the study was I think it was more based on women than men from recollection. It's quite old. And for listeners out there, feel free to drop any. I know Ollie likes to do all of his. He'll probably link you guys to something related to it. But it was showcasing the release of testosterone after engaging in intercourse, and the performance benefits that came from that versus people that didn't, and then the just comparing the two differences. And there was actually evidence to show that people that had sex or engaged in some form of like, you know, sensitive touch or whatever had benefits to their performance the following day than those that didn't.
Was it strength and power or like endurance, or how did they measure? Do you remember how they measured?
I
what
think
it
it was the like explosive power, so
Yeah.
like jumps or
Okay.
and then I think that there was some on like hand-eye coordination and stuff like that
like
as
cognitive
well.
functioning.
Yeah, like more like just
Yeah.
like reactive times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That sort of stuff. So I mean, like I said, it's been a long time since I've looked into it, but
Cool.
that's my recollection is the people that, you know, engaged in it had I think it was more that they were in a relaxed state.
Right.
So they were able to kind of focus on the task at hand.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
but there was no real either side like that had marginally improved
Right.
outcomes from it. So
Like
like
looking
we're
for that extra 1%er.
Be that 1% better every day.
So let's get back into a couple of the other things we've got here. So we've mentioned like there's a difference between tapering and deloads. So this week before comp is we're tapering. So we're trying to keep the skill but not focus so much on progression. So that was a conversation that Will had with a couple of members in the gym.
I liked the quote. Do you remember what he said?
I will have to find it up.
It
No.
was something like we're not trying to push progress. We're trying to push recovery, which is why we've reduced.
Yes, let me see. I'll see if I can find it. But yeah, so I don't think I'm going to be able to find it in time for
okay.
this.
It's all right.
Yeah, sometimes the goal isn't to drive progression, but drive recovery. Recovery from sessions coming into comp will be better by doing some light skilled sessions like this. And that's kind of what we're focusing on in those last 1 to 2 weeks. And if you're interested in more of that sort of stuff, go listen to the boys talk about it because they're more entertaining and far more knowledgeable on that sort of stuff than what we are.
Entertaining.
Come on. Do they talk about nipples? No.
Well, Zach talks about his anti-flaccid stuff often enough. So, okay. So the last couple of things we've got here is the day before comp, and like whether or not it's weigh in 24 hours or 2 hours. The difference is in that. So it could be the day before comp could be your weigh-in day.
Yep.
So we've got make sure you eat your brekkie after you weigh in. I think even if you are under your weight class,
Just for an early morning weigh-in.
yes,
Yep.
yeah. So if we're not going to those afternoon bullshit weigh-ins.
Yeah.
They
I
suck.
feel like I get fucking lumped with them.
But yeah, so if you're having to do a 24-hour weigh-in, even though you maybe are under your weight class, I still try and encourage people to eat their breakfast after their weigh-in. Because worst case is their weigh-in maybe at like 10 a.m. or something like
Mm,
that, which is still plenty of time for them to have a little bit of a fasted window.
Yeah.
I mean, if they want to have a coffee or something, if they know they're well underweight, you can have a coffee or something like that just to kind of like, you know,
I'd fucking just fast. Get me the dots.
And then bring your food with you to your weigh-ins as well. That's a big one. Like a lot of people don't bring something with them, and then they've got to go out and try and find something or wait till they get back home or
wait for the
whatever.
order
Yeah, so that's really annoying. Just bring your food with you. Don't eat until after you weigh in. We've got here to take the day off work if you can.
Yes, definitely. Just nice and relaxing. Have a
Yeah.
chill day.
Yeah.
Imagine going to work being like, soz guys, I just got to duck out for my weigh in. And then like, nah.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
about
Well,
it.
you've had clients doing like people's hair and makeup.
Oh my God. I called it her. Do you remember that movie, She's the Man with Ashley Bynes? And she's like running around the carnival pretending to be her brother and then her.
Yes.
I literally said to my client, like, you are Ashley Bynes in this movie because she literally had a soft suit on under her clothes while she was doing bridal makeup and hair for a fucking bridal party and then went straight to her. Like, I was like,
starts warming up for squats.
Literally, I was like, oh my God, you're giving me a fucking heart attack. She's like had a soft suit on underneath.
If you can schedule your days when you don't have to, that was on comp day, so that's
that was comp day. Like I was like,
kettle of fish.
Wow.
But take the day off if you can, even if it's just half day or something like that. Avoid eating out until after comp. Eat the same things, so same foods, just bigger volume. So this is something I kind of wanted to elaborate on a little bit here, which was, and then we've got here like carb loading protocols, pros and cons.
And 2 hour weigh-ins because they exist as well.
Yes, absolutely. But I'm talking just purely 24-hour weigh-ins, the weigh-in day. If you want to have a little bit of extra calories, make sure that you've got some snacky things like that available, but keep the core of your foods virtually the same.
Yep.
You can add a little bit more volume into each of those meals. So if you find that your normal chicken and rice meal isn't as satisfying and you want to have a little bit more rice, then fucking throw it in there.
No one's stopping you.
And if you want to have a glass of juice with that, go for it. No one's stopping you.
Yeah.
And if that means that you're going to get an extra 60 to 80 grams of carbs for the day, then that's fine.
Yeah.
But we want to talk about, I'm going to trigger you again
Okay.
here, going from, say 300 grams of carbs to 600 or 700 grams of carbs for an individual.
Yeah.
And the carb loading.
A protocol that some people do.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, some people see utility in implementing a carb load the day before comp. So that's looking at having like 10 grams of carbs per kilo body weight to have like super like levels of glycogen like literally shoved into your muscles. Which a lot of people do for endurance events or events where maybe it's not even possible to get food in because you're literally running or cycling.
Well, they
all
have
day.
those jelly packs and stuff like that. Like there's
30
always those glucose things.
Yeah. So there are some people who do that because I guess it's something that you can do on a 24-hour weigh-in and they maybe see no harm in just topping up on a fuck ton extra just cause. Which you can do, but then I'm guessing like for someone who's never had 600 grams of carbs in a day, like that, there's a lot that could go wrong for that person if they're just gone ham for the sake of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess the other thing that we need to touch on here is the fact that it's not just the day before, it's the days before. So unless you've done something where you've significantly reduced someone's carbs, which we don't do, like, in the time that I've spent educating you guys on how we at Nexus deliver our weight cutting protocols, I don't think there's been a single time where I've actually encouraged anyone to manipulate macros or reduce their carbs anyways.
To like 50 grams to like bring it right down to then drop that water.
Yes, exactly. There's never a time where we will do something like that. It will always come from, fiber or food volume or water or like anything.
Fasting times.
Times. There's so many other strategies that we can go down that is going to help the person lose weight, then run the risk of depleting them, making them feel like absolute fucking shit. So, and then try and rehydrate and replenish and recover all of
All
that
in
sort
one
of stuff
day.
Yeah.
in a 2-hour or a 24-hour weigh-in.
Yeah.
So, we will never run that risk. There may be a small reduction in carbs, if anything, but it will never be to a point where it is like depleting them. So I guess when we look at carb loading protocols, we have to consider those days leading into it as well. And have they had a sufficient amount of carbs coming in, and is doubling or tripling that even going to yield any out benefits?
Because like what we would usually do is maintenance or slight surplus in the weeks or days, leading in, and because they're tapering, they're not kind of utilizing excess amounts of like muscle glycogen anyway.
Yeah.
So
like I said, and then that's when we go back to the strategy of, well, if you want to have more, feel free to consume more on that day, before your comp.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be triple the amount or double the amount of what you normally do.
Yeah.
So, and particularly if that person's already consuming an adequate amount of carbs leading into it as well. So,
and we encourage them to eat carbs continuously throughout the day, fast absorbing, easy digesting as well. So it's like,
exactly. So top up on that. Absolutely. Nothing wrong with that. Have an extra muesli bar, have some lollies, have some cereal, have a glass of juice, whatever it is that you want to go for.
Yep.
But there is no need for you to overwhelm that if you've already had an adequate amount leading into the day.
And then that strategy seriously doesn't really work for 2-hour weigh-ins, because I feel like if you're doubling or having 10 grams of carbs per kilo body weight, you're probably not going to make weight. Like you're going to go outside of your weight class, not because you gained fat, but because of water.
Yeah.
So
exactly. And then trying to shove all of that sort of stuff in the 2 hours before, like replenishing those sorts of things. No, thanks. Like I can definitely see the benefits to it if someone has had to deplete in the days before.
Yeah.
We just don't run that strategy.
No, exactly. It's
so-
like a shades of grey. What's that term everyone like? It depends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I mean, like I said, if we've had to do any small reduction of carbs in the days before it, sure, I can see some outcomes that would be helpful. But most of the time I just see more potential risks for digestion and that sort of stuff than pros. And more carbs doesn't necessarily yield a better performance on the day either. Like satisfactory amount of carbs and energy input.
Mindset is probably more a very important factor. Not that we're going to go into that today as well, but like if you can have all the fucking carbs in the world, and if you rock up on the day and you're like, oh, today's going to be a shit day, like I suck.
Yeah. I feel like shit. I had an uncomfortable night's sleep.
Yeah.
I spent more time on the toilet or anything like that.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to talk over week before comp? Weeks before comp? I feel like we've ticked those boxes.
I think so.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's leave it there. If anyone else has any questions around their week before comp, feel free to drop it in our podcast form. So NexusPerformance.Aus/podcast, and you can, we can answer these in future episodes and things like that. Put it out on socials, wherever you like. But thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you, ladies, for joining us.
Thank you.
And we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
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 Thank you for listening to Nexus Unloaded. Be sure to jump on our website to find details on everything mentioned on today's podcast, plus information on our coaching, mentoring, and gym services. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at NexusPerformance.Aus for any updates on what we are currently doing. See you all in the next episode.